Hey guys, Ben Labadie here, and I'm with Ward 2 candidate for council, Henry Savek. So Henry?
Ben, nice to see you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So hey guys, you guys know how this works. Comments, questions, bring whatever you want. Share your opinions. That's what we're here for, to get to know Henry, get to know why he's running, and go from there. Now, he did bring me a pretty cool book. I know you guys are looking at it backwards because that's the way it is. But it's Don't Be a Wimp, Raise a Strong Leader, and I'm actually going to read this. It actually sounds really cool.
Ben gave me his book, so I reciprocated. I'm looking forward to reading his book, Eating Sober. Thanks,
yeah,
Ben.
so, and now we are officially live with Ben. So, let's get talking here. Where are you from? You're running in Ward 2.
Yep.
You got a family there? What's going on?
So I lived on the same farm for 50 years or so, Cherry Farm just outside of Blenheim.
Okay.
Been married 38 years to my wife Mary. I got lucky, real lucky. She's really smart, thankfully. I have 3 children, 3 boys. We grew up on the farm. They grew up on the farm, which is, I think most of you who are in agriculture know, the best thing about a farm is your kids have to work. Mm-hmm. And that was the work ethic that we were fortunate to give our kids. They're all gone now. And that's where we live, and we love it. We're still there. We've been there for the 50 years.
So you're in the Blenheim area, and you have a cherry farm.
I used to be a cherry farmer.
Oh, okay.
Here's what happened, true story.
So cherry spitting contest?
Well, we didn't do any of that stuff. I made ice cream. I had an ice cream business, actually.
Okay.
We made it right on the farm, but my children were involved, and when my children all left, it was kind of like I was bringing in other children to do their job, and I thought, I really don't want to do this.
Right.
So I went over to my mom and said, I want to cut down all the trees, and in two weeks, we no longer had a cherry farm.
Wow.
That was about 8 years ago, maybe.
Okay. So that's pretty cool.
It was tough, but yeah, it was good.
So what do you do now?
Okay, so I still have a mental health, I work in mental health. I'm a psychologist, so I work, consult to the next generation that took over what I did. We talk real estate. I work in real estate. I work in Exercise MD, which is a exercise company to help fight disease. And since May, I've been working at this about 40 hours a week.
Okay, so you're putting in a lot of time. I do see lots of you on social media.
How do you mean?
Well, I do see your videos.
I
do see you're probably the only one of very few who are really putting ads out there, really being active on social media. I'm
trying just to let people know that, this is really kind of like who I am, and sometimes I fight maybe too much. All my life I fought for people. I can remember we were talking earlier about my first job. I worked with children who were suspended and expelled from school. And they weren't getting a fair shake because most of them didn't have parents to support them. So when they would show up at schools would tell them they didn't have room, but if a parent brought a student to school, they would have room. So I thought, well, this isn't fair. So I hired actors to pretend they were dropouts. And sure enough, the study came out, and my employer, who was the school board, wanted to fire me. Because how dare I, and I said, wouldn't tell them anything, but it got published, and people still quote that article. Because we proved that schools were discriminating against children who didn't have parents.
Wow.
So if you went to a high school, and we had all the maps, so it was all by phone. So, hi, I'm Joe, I dropped out of school, I got in trouble, but I want to come back. They'd say, forget it, we don't have any room. Then a male would call up and say, my son Joe's in trouble, but he's learned his lesson, he's come. They said, we got room for him tomorrow. So we were able to prove that children who didn't have supports needed supports. You're a dropout not because you're not smart, you're a dropout because no one's helping you stay in school.
Awesome.
That was cool. So I'm always fighting for stuff like that.
That was a pretty cool story, too.
Yeah.
Hey, Jonathan, Sue, and Marge and crew, how are you guys doing? Hey, guys, don't be scared to hit that share button. Armando, what's going on, my friend? Ask questions, share your opinions, and if you got questions for Henry, just ask away. So how did we get to a point where you said, I want to run for council? You do all these other things. You're in real estate. You write books.
Well, I always tell people if you complain, you either have to try to fix it or be quiet.
Okay.
And I found myself saying things with friends about things that we needed to fix, and I tried to get other people to do it, and they wouldn't. And I talked to Mary, who's again the smartest woman I've ever met, and she wasn't crazy about it, but she supported me, which she always does when I have a crazy idea, thankfully. And so that's why I'm doing this.
Now, I have watched you on social media. I think it's around.
Sorry first.
Well, but
what are you gonna say?
It's always interesting. But with the working for $1 thing. Now, I've seen something.
That comes up a lot.
I think the salary or whatever is about $26,000 a year or something, and you've put out there that you're willing to work for $1.
Well, it comes up about what young people need to start businesses. So a young person today, as you know, because you're on the internet and everything,
Yep.
if you have $5,000, you can probably start a business today.
Right.
If you're a young person with no assets, or you can't get that $5,000 from anybody. So how are you going to get that to start your first business?
Right.
And I thought, I mean, remember, I'm doing these things because I think they're right. It's probably not the best way to get elected because people have questions about why you would do this. But here's the thing: and I belong to Kiva.org.
Okay.
It's a social lending where you loan money to people in third world countries at interest-free rates so that they can then, buy another goat, buy something to improve their lives incredibly. My wife and I have been doing this for probably 6 or 7 years. You always get paid back unless there's a war and someone gets taken out in a war or some horrible thing. So I thought, why not do a Kiva model where a young person probably can borrow $5,000 interest-free,
Right.
pay it back, no interest, just like Kiva, and then the next young person can do it. So that was the idea of it. And then the more I did my research, I realized, I probably need to do this for other reasons for $1, and they're just personal. And trust me, my wife's Scottish. Bringing up the dollar, working 40 hours a week isn't but it's what I chose to do, and that's what it is.
Well, I get the question a lot from people watching here.
Yeah.
Why do I do this? I make absolutely no money, and it costs me time and money.
There's 5,000 people, by the way, who volunteer in Chatham Kent for Kiwanis, Optimus.
Yeah.
They don't get paid.
Right.
And I know my kids' coaches, and this is a true story. I talked about it in the video. My children benefited from Little League. We had Roger Kellum in Blenheim. We had football Pew at high school. We had great football experiences. And they never got paid extra for that. And I was so busy working, because remember, I started later. You're in your 30s probably?
39, yep.
There you go. I was basically just getting out of school starting, had 5 jobs, so I didn't have time to volunteer.
Right.
So this is kind of my 4-year opportunity to help the community. That's how I feel about it. And I know people have different thoughts on it.
Awesome. Okay, we got one from Kit Moore. Should council function as a team or a group of independents representing their constituents?
I love that question. So I believe, and again, this might not be the greatest thing to say, that first we work for the people that elect us, because we have unique needs in Ward 2. In Blenheim, Erie, our area is very unique. I believe that. And so I think if it's a good thing to vote on for the better of everyone, yes, but it has to be something for Chatham, like we're going to talk about the arena probably, right?
Of course.
It has to be something that is beneficial to our residents, or I can't support it. And I'm not going to do political capital trading where I'll give you this deal, even though it's stupid, if you give me this deal. It has to be what our people need. We have roads out, the New Scotland Line, it's going to set a world record for culvert repair. I just got the numbers today. $70,964 for the consultant to tell us how to put a culvert in.
Right.
Now, I live on a farm. I've had culverts put in. I never had a consultant. So I don't know. I know there's a lot to learn. We learn about culverts in this job and all that. But just like in construction, there's many ways to get the job done.
Yeah.
We seem to pick, in certain situations, solutions that mean people now are driving around from Shrewsbury to Rondale. They can't go straight because we have consultants telling us how to build a culvert.
Right.
So we have unique needs.
Yes, we do. Armando,
Can I answer the team thing?
Yeah.
Unless you have something else wrong.
Nope. Go for
so
that.
Back to the team. So one of the things we didn't talk about, we talked sports before we started here. So I played on some teams, and when you're on a team, we all have a role, and we all have to do what's right, but you also challenge each other. When I played football at Western, when someone didn't show up in the weight room, we would tell them, your job is to do the best for this team, and you get going. So you challenge each other, you push each other, and we were talking earlier about you have to be mature to say, okay, this is a fight right now to get elected. But when it's over, we're all on a team. We're all working together. And it doesn't mean we're going to just agree 17 to nothing on everything. We're going to disagree, but we're going to respect each other, and we're going to do this. But this is like the game.
Right.
And later we'll have the lemonade and talk about it, as I said.
Awesome. Hope that answers your question, Kit. Great job, Henry. Less problems, more solutions from Armando.
Thanks, Armando. I hear you.
Ellen Newt Barnes. Why not lend the money to the people of our own community, take care of them first? I think that's what he kind of intended to do with the.
Yeah, it's got to be Ward 2. So if I get a chance, to serve the people, what I want to be able to do is say, okay, don't give me the dough. And in fact, we can then build it with other people, hopefully, that will put money in, just like Kiva. And I'm thinking I'm meeting with the Business Improvement BIA in Blenheim, and hopefully they will have those funds. They get them. I have nothing to do with it, but they will decide what businesses, young people can get that money to start their business. So it will stay in the ward. And I'm hoping, you know, we gave the councillors gave the mayor a 10% pay increase last time. I was hoping that 10% could go to this idea too. So I'm going to be asking and sort of knocking on some doors once we get it started. Because
Awesome.
our young people need access to capital. If you want
Yeah.
to start a business, I don't care if you're, you know, we need a lot of service industries. My mom's a senior, she needs PSWs. We have great PSWs in her home right now, by the way. Thanks, team. I don't think they're watching, but so we need more of that kind of thing. And young people who want to start that kind of business, they need capital.
Yeah, and that is a big thing in the community is how do we retain youth and how do we help youth get started in business so that later they can actually, number one, have their own job, but possibly employ people in the future and grow. Is that kind of something in line with what you're saying, but what else could we do to...
Well, with infrastructure, I was telling you about a group in Thamesville I just got off the phone with who have internet solution for rural, not towns, but actually out in the country where I live, or Erio, or out on a concession road. And they put these devices up on grain bins,
Right.
and they're able to then give you incredible download speed. I know they're coming towards Erio already. And we talked about within a year, hopefully we'll have that. But they told me they could probably do the entire town of Erio for 30 grand.
Right.
So I think about the 6 million we put into Tech Savvy.
Mm-hmm.
I think about why pick that. Why don't we look at a local company in Thamesville, who's a local company? 2 farmers started this company, and they have an internet solution. I mean, tomorrow I'm meeting with Integris. There's another solution that's in the States where you actually, and some in Canada, where you actually have internet coming through your power lines.
Mm-hmm.
So it's high speed, and it
Right.
comes. You just have it. You would have it right there in your plug, and you'd be able. So it takes care of the wiring. Now there's some bugs right now, but they say in a year that'll be available. So we have to get young people and all of us to have high speed in the country. My son lives in Nova Scotia, and I think I've talked about this. They have high speed fiber optics in the middle of nowhere, and he lives in the middle of nowhere, and he has it. And his neighbor works for a company out of the States who does the Edmonton Oilers graphics,
Okay.
and he lives in the country because
Right.
he has the high speed internet.
Yeah.
If he didn't have fiber optics and high speed, he couldn't do that job. And I think that's what people want. Plus the housing that we'll hopefully talk about.
And we will. Okay, we got Craig McNeil now. Hey, Craig, I talked to Henry about your question coming about no plastic. So Craig's question, he asks everybody, Henry, do you support municipal tap water? Do you buy bottled water? Why? What are your ideas, if any, about reducing single-use plastics?
Okay, let's do one at a time. So yes, my wife and I drink water from the tap, but we have a filter in our fridge. We have one of those newfangled fridges with a filter in it.
Yep,
We
okay.
just got that a year ago. It's pretty cool. Sorry, the other question is...
The other question is, do you buy bottled water, and if so, why?
The only time I buy bottled water is I take an extra one when I'm fly fishing on the bay. I have 2 of those containers that I get out of the fridge, and then to back it up in case I get in trouble, I don't drink enough water. I'm supposed to drink more water, so I drink a lot of water, so it's my backup. I buy a Canadian Tire case of water probably twice a year to back up my fishing.
Okay, kind of like a safety issue.
Well, yeah, and our buddies come fishing, they never drink water. So.
Right. What are your ideas, if any, about reducing single-use plastics?
You know, that's a great question. I don't know. I think one of the issues is obviously you have to have better water at the source. And Mary and I, my wife, were talking about what kind of filters are available no matter what bad stuff's in our water. Can we still drink it? Because
Right.
I know you had Trevor Thompson on here, and he said he had a rash because he drank the water. It kind of freaked me out, to tell you the truth. I haven't talked to him about it because we don't exactly talk a lot. But the point of all that is, that kind of freaked me out that someone's drinking water and getting a rash, because if you're pregnant or have a baby, that's probably, there's something going on there. So there's some great technology, and I think we're going to have to look at that as our water becomes, I mean, one of the advocacy things I did with London, they got mad at me. 2 years ago in London, they released 1 billion liters of raw sewage in the Thames.
Really?
1 billion, right? So I started this thing called What's in Your Water? And then it's actually a YouTube thing where a little child goes and wants a drink, so the mom goes in the toilet and gets him a glass of water and gives it to him to drink. For the shock value of the
Right.
1 billion liters of raw sewage. So as a counselor, I think we have to look at, it's not just fish, it's the water, right? Because the water from the Thames, obviously, we end up drinking it. So we have to be vigilant, not just how we use water, but how the other people upstream of us use water and downstream, and when they decide to flush out their systems.
Okay.
Because I still have a problem with London dumping, and we apparently are better, I haven't got a straight line on that, but apparently we only do that a few times a year.
Okay, so let's go on. Jennifer Wilson, hello. So hey guys, hit that share button. It's always great to kind of share these conversations with other people in the community, especially in other wards. And as well, if you got questions, don't be scared to ask them or share your opinions. What else? When you first think of getting on council, and it sounds like you want to just kind of give back a little bit to the community. What do you see as a success point 4 years from now?
Well, we have to have different procedures, sense of urgency when it comes to building things. The people need to know how every penny's being spent. You know, I get ripped by this all. People say, well, it's only 50 grand here, or it's only 800,000 here. Well, for me, that's a lot of money. And when you have a $300 and some million budget, $1.2 billion, that's their decision, right? Who do you want to help look after that? That's it. People work very hard for their money. I mean, I started driving a produce truck. I used to go to 4th Street in Detroit. You ever been on 4th Street in Detroit?
Yes, I have.
At 4 in the morning trying to buy produce in a little bit.
Not at 4 in the morning.
That's how I paid my way through school. And when you work hard for your money, and we have people like farmers, seniors, people who are retired, and you send it to the main city, you expect that money to be used the right way. And I think when I look at the 600-page budget that I spent a lot of time going through, and today I'm going to be able to post all the job. I finally got all the job specs and some of the salaries in a digital format, so I can post them.
Okay.
It's like 600 or 700 pages of all the occupations. Remember, we collect not enough taxes to pay our salaries in Chatham County.
Really?
Yeah. The rest comes from Toronto and Ottawa. We're kind of going like this. It's all our tax dollars, by the way.
Right.
I mean, we pay taxes, income, whatever, but we don't collect enough taxes, property taxes, to pay our employees because we have their salaries. Of course, we have benefits, we have retirement, we have all that kind of stuff. So we have to look at that and say, how can we do this better? I go there to file my Freedom of Information request. We have the best front desk I've ever seen anywhere. I mean, I'm in and out of there in 3 minutes. These folks are incredible, and they're pleasant. They love their just like we have some amazing, what I call hands-on people.
Right.
Like the people that service you, that take care of you, that fix your roads, that cut your grass, all that stuff. I'm a little concerned about some of the dough we spend on administration.
Okay. Let's see, and we do have very high taxes for not having enough taxes.
Taxes, I have to tell you, is probably one of the reasons I ran, plus the red tape and trying to build something. I even put signs up on this property saying, I can't build here because of Chatham County.
Right.
That's another reason why I'm running.
Okay, so let's see here, Crystal Brink, then lower your salaries. You want to respond to that one? I guess you're working for $1.
Well, hang on. I don't think we need to lower salaries. I think I have a couple ideas. Can I talk to you about a couple ideas?
Talk about it.
When I was in my office and running it, I was taking Fridays off because I was kind of getting stressed. And I was calling the office one day on a Friday from a nice place, and I thought, I feel really bad that they don't have Fridays. So we started giving everybody Fridays off. Okay?
Okay.
Forever. Productivity went up. We did more work in 4 days because everybody knew we have a 3-day and we get a 4-day weekend on the stat day.
Right.
So the myth of a 5-day week, for example. So let's take this for instance. Let's say you go to the people in administration who are making $150,000, $200,000+. You say, okay, you do your job 4 days a week. You take a 20% pay cut because you're already making $200,000 in Chatham County. You and I would agree that's a good salary.
Good salary.
And with income tax breaks and everything, you're really only getting take home 10% less, and you have Fridays off for the rest of your life. Maybe we do a trial with 100 employees who are not making that kind of money. We say, we'll pay you the same amount of money. You work Monday to Friday, Monday to Thursday, right? Or Tuesday to Friday. We'll decide. You can decide. And let's do a trial. You figure out how to do your job in 4 days that you usually do in 5. And I would bet you, because I've met somebody, they are genius. These people, when you empower people on the front line, they do a great job and they figure it out. And they would figure it out. And think about it. You can, when people leave, because for whatever reason, you advertise we have a 4-day work week.
Right.
Do you know anybody else that has a 4-day work week?
No.
No. Think of what that would do. We would save money on the high side.
Right.
And on the other side, people would have more opportunities to do other things. We have to be flexible with leave. Some people would want to work 3 days a week. They should be able to.
I'd like to only work 3 days a week.
Well, be less salary at that, right?
Yeah,
But I mean,
right.
I've done that. I've taken leave without pay to try new businesses or.
Well, parents do it all the time to be with their kids more. So, what do you guys think of the 3 and 4 day work weeks? Okay, Jennifer Wilson, given the aging demographic of our community, what are you going to do to attract new, talented youth? And she then goes on to say, especially Ward 2.
Well, the Ward 2, what I see with people, and I've had a number, I'll tell you a true example. I don't have it anymore, but my wife and I had a piece of land in Ridgetown, and people wanted to come from Toronto and build off-the-grid housing. They were young people.
Right.
They had sold their house, and they wanted to come. It was about a 2-acre plot, and they wanted to put an off-the-grid house and live there and come from Toronto. They were young. They were going to telecommute, all that kind of stuff. Couldn't do it. There's no method to do an off-the-grid house in Chatham-Kent. They wanted us to put $160,000 of services in to feed the one house.
Right.
Well, the people didn't want services. They don't need services because with and think of the technology. If we improved our building for people so that you can put a tiny house on a lot, or you can put a farmer can take up to once or twice, sell an acre or two and put a house on it for family members or whatever. Think of what would happen to building. I mean, think of what would happen to the opportunities for technology. Because if you're off the grid house, you have to deal with electricity, you have to deal with proper disposal of sewage and water and all that kind of. It would create all kinds of interesting concepts of young people coming for that. Because if you can live for $150,000, you tell someone in Toronto, instead of paying $2,000 a month for this 400 square foot condo, you can live in our community, you can buy a house for $150,000, and you have high-speed internet. What would you do?
This sounds like a plan.
But you have to be able to first deliver it, and I think building. I've had my interesting life with building permit people. I think the building inspector people should be consultants. So when you walk in the door and you say, I want to build a house, they say, thanks for coming. We're going to help you build that house.
Right.
We're going to get through the red tape. We're going to help you get around all this stuff. It's not you can't or you won't.
And most people feel that they walk in and get hit with no, no, no.
It's what people do. And you say, well, why? And they say, well, because. Well, no, because. I mean, you're a young man in sports. How many times do you hear no in your life that you're never going to make it, you're not going to play? What do? You just find it. You don't listen to those people.
Well, I always hear that the Facebook Lives don't work. So,
but the problem is, you only have one place to get a building permit.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere else.
Right.
So we as a council have to look at this and say, okay, these are really great people, but you work for the taxpayers. So if someone wants to turn a garage into a single family duplex to put a senior in or a student for Ridgetown, we should be saying, let's figure this out and you're going to get this done in a certain period of time and let's do it. So we need to support this, not be a bunch of no-sayers. I mean, I see that we have empty lots in Blenheim. Nothing is happening because you can't build on them.
Yeah.
There's no mechanism. They'll tell you no.
And there's even a lot of businesses, specifically here in Chatham, that they want to expand and they might have bought the property next to them and they get hit with no, no, no.
That's right.
After they buy these properties. So I've seen that. Let's see here. Hi, Scott. Daryl. CK has some of the highest property taxes in Ontario. No young people from Toronto are coming to CK. There are no jobs for them. I think we could probably change that a little bit if we can allow them to create their own jobs.
Let's talk about property taxes, because I firmly believe, like, if your credit card bill came every month at home and you never opened it and looked at it and you didn't share it with anybody, how do you ever get to knowing how you're spending your money? And right now, I can tell you, when I go and ask for information and they say, oh, wait, that's going to take a lot of research. Well, you've already given me the answer. If you can't hit a button in business and know how you did this week, your business is in trouble. We have $300 and some million. That's $300 and some million. And sometimes, we're not really sure what's happening. So how do you lower taxes? You look at every line item. You ask yourself, is this a need or a want? Do we need this or not? I mean, we have bridges down. I mean, it's a nightmare driving around because we have bridges that suddenly aren't, like, how does that happen? How do we suddenly have bridges that don't? How do people in this area not have drinking water? I don't get it. That's a need. Drinking water is a need. You have to have water.
Yes.
Forget how or why. They don't have water. And people can't go over roads. Farmers have to go 4 miles around because the New Scotland Line culvert. That's a need for me. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I think we need to do is we need to budget. We have to think more than today in getting elected. We have to think about, just like when you own a house, you say, okay, I've got 4 years on this roof, so I better start putting money aside for this roof. The Accessibility Act for playgrounds. We have 89 playgrounds in Chatham-Kent. 88 are not accessible, okay? In 6 years, now this is assuming none of them need to be repaired, because as soon as you repair them, you have to make them accessible, and we all agree it's important and should happen.
Yeah.
The problem is we have no budget for it. We're talking 10 to 20 million, depending on how we do this. because you have to have a certain floor to these playgrounds. You can't just use wood chips. It's not accessible. You have to have a rubberized floor or some other type of flooring that requires a lot of maintenance. We haven't prepared for this. So I asked the question. They said, well, it's coming out of the bridge budget. Well, we kind of have some bridge problems. We don't want to tear down playgrounds like they did in Windsor because they didn't want to come up with this money. So somehow this is like forward planning. Now it's bad news. It may not get you elected, but it's not bad news if you start now and you say we have this need that we have to work on. And that's kind of what I want to do. I want to look at this and say, okay, let's make this better for people. Not kick the can down the road and, you know, it's a 4-year election thing and I'll snow it and then I'll get out of here, I'll do it again or whatever. Let's do it right. There's some tough decisions you have to make. And no one likes fixing sewers because you can't see them and they're not very sexy. But you need a sewer.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean, I don't know. That's what I think.
Awesome. Okay, we got Scott here. There are all kinds of evidence that shows 4-day work week is more productive, but we act as if it's not true. Government at all levels seems stuck in the old methods. Public often wants to do reduce
I can tell you the 4-day work week, what will happen, this is a true story. Some people left our workplace because they didn't know what they were going to do on Fridays.
Right.
We lost some people, some good people. But then the cultures quickly changed. And some people still want a part-time job on Friday, and they're free to do whatever they like. But our work is, like most work, is difficult when you're in human services. And I think people in hospitals, I think people in government, I mean, the people that are on the front lines in government do incredible work. You know, the people that fix the patches. I talk to people about the New Scotland line before they tell them to stop talking to me. The people on the ground are incredible. They would fix it tomorrow, but they can't because they have to go through all this. You don't have to. If we just empower the people on the front line, you know, give them what they need to do their jobs, you're going to find it. And you talk about attracting young people again, someone coming out of school. Why don't we have more internships? Why don't we have paid internships? We seem to do it for docs, which is a good thing. Maybe we do, I don't know. Maybe someone can chime in and tell us. But we need more internships once we establish this so people say, hey, I really want to come and live here.
Awesome. Jennifer Wilson, what is your take on the recent billboard controversy? Are you aware of the billboard controversy?
Yeah.
Do you want to chime in on that one?
Yeah, I was glad the police were investigating because, you know, my son lived in Mississippi and now he's back in Canada. We would talk about these kinds of issues a lot. And I would say, well, it's better in Canada here because we have hate laws. You know, you can prosecute someone. The problem is, you know, when you look at the charter and you look at if someone couches those kinds of statements within some religious belief, they're somewhat protected. I think you have to go out on a limb sometimes in these situations. And you have to ask yourself, and just try to talk common sense. I don't know if anyone talked with the man who put it up, after he put it up, and what impact it would have. Start there. But I think other than a police investigation and lawyers, we have 5 or 6 in our, I would have gone, if I was in council, down to the lawyers. We have 5 or 6 on retainer. I just love that idea to have 5 or 6 lawyers that you can walk down and say, stop this guy. But figure it out that way. I was very disappointed. I hate it when people, it's often ignorance, I find. People just aren't exposed. A quick story. I was 9 and I was coming home. No, actually I was 8. I remember this. And it was a Wednesday and my mom was cooking Sunday food, right?
Yep.
And I said, what are you doing? And she says, we have a special guest today. And a man came from Africa. My dad worked in the government for agriculture. He was coming to learn, and I got the riot act. You better be good because this man's coming to Africa. It's the first time we had a visible minority in our house, right? Outside of some of the folks my dad worked with. And we were taught respect. We were taught, and you have to be exposed to other cultures and food. And he talked about his food and he brought us gifts and food and stuff. You have to be exposed to all the cultures, and one of the things we don't seem to do in our community enough is have that multicultural experience. Our children went to Waterloo, 2 of them for university, 1 went to Mount Allison out east. What I'm so grateful for is at Waterloo, they were exposed to multicultures, like they had, because it wasn't quite as available it was in the school. And I really think we can do a lot more with what we talk about is what we need for employees. I was talking to someone today about what they need for employees, and what does that have to do with immigration? I mean, if there's people in Toronto who just came to this country who are skilled, and we need people who are skilled at that, why aren't we connecting and bringing those folks in a reasonable way so that we can all benefit from that? I don't understand that piece.
Awesome. Hopefully that answers your question, Jennifer. Mario Anthony, good afternoon. And my mom, Margot Lavity, says
Hi, Margot.
hello.
Oh, great song. Did a great job. Although, what about his hair? I don't know. I was going to ask you about
Whoa.
your hair. At least you have some. I know that's the comeback I hear all the time. I have to leave the hair.
You're gonna get some hate mail from my barber, Aaron Tyndale.
No, I'm going to go to your barber and see if we can do this with that. No.
Awesome. Okay. I think the sports complex. Let's talk about that. I think we
man.
disagree on that a little bit.
Well,
let's
you
talk
want to
about
go
that.
first? You want to
I'll talk about first. Everybody knows my pitch. Sportsplex with not just an arena, Twin Pad Arena, but have indoor soccer available or flag football, basketball, and swimming. So multi-sports, maybe a track in there to run around, and that's what I want. That's what I think we need. Go for it.
So, in Ward 2,
Thank you, Jennifer.
When resources are taken into we'll call you the big city for a moment. I
Okay.
know people want to talk about we're all together. We're in Ward 2, you're in the city of Chatham. So there is a difference.
I'm still trying to figure out if Jennifer's liking your hair or my hair.
Well, it's not mine because I don't have much and I'm glaring the screen. But here you go. So we don't have, when you think of the resources, you say, okay, Chatham Ward 2, we send $25 million to the city. Okay? And I ask this question, what do we get back? You get a culvert here and there. I say, okay, well, no, it's more than that. But I'm just saying. So when Chatham decides to put up a $100 million plus complex, that takes resources from all the rural communities, not just ours, because it's all our money. Remember, we're in this together.
Right.
So my question back to you would be, is that a need or a want?
I believe it's a need
Okay, you gotta
for
convince me about that.
quality of life. I mean,
Oh, wow.
if you look at everything, you see a declining population. We've had a declining population where other places that
People are going to
have
come here because we have a sports flex.
well, they're going to come for the
man.
quality of life. If you are going to be in a big employer and you're going to employ a bunch of people and
There's
you
no
have
big
a family,
employers coming. I checked, I listened, there's none coming. It's individual company. Little guys
Yeah.
starting businesses are 85% of our economy in Canada.
and
Let's just get
if
into
they
that.
have kids,
They're going to have
they're
kids.
probably going to take the option of going somewhere where their kids have more
They may
options.
be going to
for-
go to
for
the Blenheim
sports.
Arena because they live in Blenheim. And the Blenheim Arena should be awesome. Should the Ridgetown? Of course. Should the Boswell? I just look at it this way. Okay. It's kind of like if in your house, your roof is caved in, they put a tape around
Right.
your house, and you say, rather than fix my roof, I'm going to buy a new truck and go to Vegas. What do you think? Good idea? No. You'd fix your roof.
Well, I like
We have-
Vegas.
I should have said China. Oh, that would have caused a problem. But here's the thing, right? Your roof is a need because we have needs in this community that we're not, and this is part of what I talked about, tell the public everything.
Right.
They need to know, if they want to look up a 700-page budget and how we're spending money and how much we spent on plumbing last week or today, they should be able to do that. And when you do that, you'll get accountability and you'll get people who say, okay, we need to know. For example, I asked if you took all the roads and bridges in our area, Chatham Kent, and you color-coded them. Red is 5 years or less, yellow is 10 years, green is greater than 50, whatever the number
Yep.
is, and showed us maps. This is water, this is sewer, this is... They told me when I crashed the water meter party, they said, we will get you that, Henry. Well, then I got shut down and they said it takes 2 days to do it. Well, why don't we have that for the people? So you can look at a map and say, okay, we've got some red problems over here
Yeah.
that are going to require... We have to tell people the truth. We have to say, hey, we have some road problems. We have some bridge problems. We have quality water problems. Those are important. Now, they don't get you elected. They're not sexy like a double pad arena. But it's
Triple pad. I mean,
Well-
why stop at two?
so, and the other problem, and you're in real estate. First of all, it was pushed by administration to the council. In the paper was an article that said council can vote on a $25 million idea or a $50 million idea. Well, it's kind of not right because council tells administration what to do.
Right.
That's how it goes. So here's the problem. You then announce, we love the Navistar property. It is an amazing property. It is so great. We can't wait to put our arena on that property. You know what the problem is? We don't own it.
Well, that's very true.
So if you're the seller,
Yeah.
you're thinking, this is pretty good. These guys really want my property that's contaminated
Yeah.
and all those other things. So it doesn't do the best for the taxpayers.
Right.
The taxpayers would have, it's like the railroad thing, right? The railroad, when they did an appraisal,
Which I do want the Great Ontario Marathon Trail with that railroad.
well, you might have to wear a hazmat outfit when you jog through it. But here's the point. The quote on the value of the land was $260,000. I read the 200-page
Right.
report. We paid $800.
Okay.
I don't get that.
Yeah.
It's real
yeah.
estate, right? Would
Yeah.
you imagine taking a client to a house? You're in real estate, and you say, okay, the value of the house is $260, and the
Right.
client says, I'll pay $800.
That's a little bit what you want for your sellers.
You're great, man. Your mom did a great job. She's gone now. She's probably shut you down.
Yeah, if I can do that
So
for my
that's
sellers
just,
all day,
I
that's
just think, first of all, the
Yeah.
rural communities are important.
right.
And I think when you do projects like this, like we could argue about taking the slots away from Dresden.
Mm.
It reminds me a great deal is when Miss Wynn shut down the horse racing industry. What she did is she put 70,000 people out of work
Right.
who have no other options to work. They were taking care of horses, they're groomers, they're all that. The farmers who ran those, they suddenly went out of business because she didn't want to share the slot money. And just like that, she took away 70,000 jobs. And so I think you have to think long term about these ideas. And the other final point is most governments, municipal governments, are horrible at running any business. So they already projected that if they did this ice pad, they'd be at a deficit every year.
Right.
We would need to know, just like we're paying $500 or $600 for the most $1,000 a year for the most beautiful theater in Ontario that's basically never used. We need to understand how much it's going to cost us each year for the next 25 years, if anyone can.
Now, if the entire community wanted it, would you be for it?
If the entire, you mean my ward?
Your ward, the community, well, you also would be representing Chatham-Kent, right? Not just the ward.
Well, here's
but
the thing.
municipality.
The people know how I feel.
Right.
They're probably not going to vote for me if they don't want it. If they don't want it, I'm going to vote as I tell you. I'm not going to tell you something to get elected and then flip flop. I believe, because there's only a few things I can do well in life. There's not a lot of things I can't do well. I'm telling you, and you know that. Look at the numbers and try to make sense. My wife's taught me a lot of common sense. So you try to make common sense of this.
Yeah.
We have people without water. We have roads. We have a bridge that's busted. We don't have a clue about our infrastructure costs.
Yep.
And we're going to do a fantasy ice rink.
I like the idea. I think
I
Scott
know you
Tate.
do, and
Scott Tate likes the idea. We
Of
need
course.
accessible playgrounds and many facilities fixed long before millions are spent on a sports facility. And the sports complex facility is not going to be just 25, 50 million. It's probably be closer to 90.
I'm thinking 150.
150. Well, with the
But we don't have any money.
Yeah.
See, where are you going to get the money? Let me ask you that. We're going to raise taxes. Like,
Ward 2.
okay, let's talk about Ward 2. A little building in Ward 2 worth $139,000.
Right.
A little commercial building has over $6,000 in taxes.
That's crazy.
Well, but that's the reality.
Yeah.
We'd say that. So what are we going to do about it? You say, how do you attract businesses? So I was going to put together, and this is a true story. I have the only little lot on the main street of Blaine. Okay.
Okay.
Disclosure. It's probably 10 feet wide, and I don't know, 90 feet long or something. It's a very small little lot, right? Here was my plan. This is a true story. The front was going to be an art studio or someone to start a business. The back would have been an apartment.
Okay.
400, 500 square foot apartment.
Yep.
Someone could live, work.
Right.
I was going to do that, right? First problem is you need all these. You have all these problems. You can't build it. Secondly, you got to build it 2 stories. What do you mean you got to build? Well, you got to build 2 stories, and you have to have these minor variances. You can't do this, can't do that. And when you build it, it'll cost you about $150 to build it, or $120. The taxes will probably be $600 to $700 a month.
Right.
What's the rent going to be? 6 to 7. Why would you do this?
Yeah.
And this is the problem with bringing young businesses or new businesses. Money goes where there's least resistance. Most of I'm in real estate. I understand this. Investing in Chatham-Kent real estate would be a very difficult thing with those taxes. People sell a house in Waterloo for $350,000, $400,000. They're paying X amount. They move here. They buy one for $200,000. They pay the same or more taxes.
Yeah. Often more.
It can't happen. We have to find ways, and I told you one of the ways is to be tough and be clear. These are the needs, these are the wants. We have great employees, we need to support them. We need to empower them. And we'll get there.
Awesome. Again, Scott Tate with you. Wants or not needs. We're lowered the municipal debt in sports complex. And that sports complex will only add back to the debt.
Thanks, Scott.
And no
I have to
sports
say
facility.
thanks, man. You supported me.
No, he's killing me. No sports
Wow.
facility wastes millions, put them into playgrounds and bridges. But yeah, we do have a bunch of playgrounds that need that. Let's talk about, I think we've argued on the sports complex, the rail line, I think we disagree with. Or you
What do you mean? Tell me about the rail line. Go ahead.
Rail line, I want to do turn the rail line into a marathon trail. It's 26.2 miles.
A lot of people running marathons in Chatham, right?
Not right now, but they should be.
I work out 5 days a week,
Yeah.
but you know, running too many marathons is bad for your heart. A cardiologist did some great science on this. Don't run too many marathons.
I've run 19.
I'm worried about you, buddy. Don't run a lot of marathons. I'll send you the video, seriously.
But if you do look at it, the municipality of Chatham-Kent does not run a lot of marathons, and we have the highest rate, one of the highest rates of diabetes, obesity, and heart disease.
The 26 million tons of garbage have nothing to do with that, you think?
Well,
Here's the thing about the railway, okay? Here, if you read the 200-page Gelliot and Touche, whatever the name is, consult report, that one of the first documents I read, it was like the most fantasy reading. If you've ever looked at an angel investor where they tell you how much they're going to make 20 years from now in a business and how wonderful it's going to be and how great it's going to be, well, that was the projection on the railway, right? And the problem with that is it was fantasy, and the problem with that is we had no business being in business. We don't have any. We have no experience in railway running a railway. We don't have anybody. Like, it's not what we do. We're supposed to take care of people in need, make sure we take care of the get out of the way of business.
Yep.
Not harass our people so that they have to get a permit to have a fire. You can't have a fire in your backyard without a permit. Okay?
I think everybody will agree with that.
Well, but it's my mom's 93. We have a thing in the back where every Saturday we have a barbecue. All right? So it's a wood-fired barbecue. And I said, well, we don't have a permit. She goes, what do you mean? I said, we need a permit. I said, I can't have a fire here because I'm running for council if we don't have a permit. And I won't get a permit because I do not believe in it. What do you mean I need a permit to have a fire in my backyard? A little fire, not a big one, a little one. A big one you should call. We have when we had to burn brush on the farm or something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's overreach of government. We have so much overreach. Get out of the way. The people are smart. That's the other part that gets me. People in municipal council sometimes feel that the people aren't smart. If you give the people the information,
right,
they know pretty quick what's going on. And the way that we try to control them, I think, is by not giving them all of the information. And we need to do that. You shouldn't have to file a Freedom of Information Act to find out how your money is being spent. That's ludicrous.
Awesome. Jennifer Wilson's now agreeing with me. Marathon track is a very good idea.
She's probably a marathoner, Jennifer. Are you a runner? There's 5% of the population like you who love to exercise.
So
people like me hate it.
So we're 1 and 1. Okay.
But I work out 5 days a week.
And that's good. And I think everybody should be doing that.
I still hate it.
Let's move to tourism. We got, Ward 2 especially. I've talked to other candidates in Ward 2 to promote the area very well. What do you think about tourism, how we can bring more people to see this great municipality of Chatham-Kent?
Well, I think one of the things we need, and I've talked about this, is we need to sit with the people of Erio, because everyone brings up Erio and Rondell.
Yep.
We have to talk about Erio. And talk about a 4-year plan of how we're going to make that happen. I mean, I was down there on some of those weekends. It's like Grand Bend. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. But we don't have the supports in place for these people. We don't have enough supports, for example, with the beach to help them. You know, I was in, what's that place in the States, in Florida, where the cars go up and down the beach? Daytona.
Daytona?
In Daytona, every night, they clean the beach. Tractors go up and down, they clean the beach. And the next morning you get up and it's pristine and it's clean and everything's wonderful. We can't do that in Erio.
No.
And so we have to find ways to keep it clean, the parking, the enforcement. I believe we need to have a police officer stationed in Erio, and we kind of improved it recently, but we need that. We need summer students hired, 2 of them, all summer, to do nothing but quality control and cleanliness on the bathrooms and the beach. The bathrooms need to be pristine. I know when my children were young, that was a key issue. We need good bathrooms, like Seinfeld. Where's the best bathrooms in the building, right? We need the best bathrooms. They should be pristine. And we need those opportunities, and we need to talk about it more. I mean, we need to have Erio in our area, the agriculture. I mean, I grow garlic. I mean, you talk about bringing people in. You can have a garlic field twice the size of this desk, and you've got garlic all year. I'm a beekeeper. I keep bees. Urban beekeeping is huge in the world. I don't know why we don't have more urban beekeeping. I was afraid of them as a kid. My dad was a beekeeper. 2 years ago I started. It is the most relaxing thing you can ever do. Because they're the smartest, I don't really call them insects, they're the smartest people that I've ever been around insect-wise, who are incredible. So there's more of that we can push. People want to be self-sustaining. I was talking to my nephew in BC, and he said his goal in life is to live on a piece of land large enough that he can grow all his vegetables, have a bit going on here, a bit going on here, and live his life in peace. And people want that today. And I think with tourism, we have to talk about the big issue, which is we don't have a lot of places to stay. We need more accommodation out our way. And that goes back to building and planning and zoning with a common sense to say, how can we help people build the businesses that need to be done here?
Awesome. international man of mystery right here, beekeeper, and you do a lot of stuff.
Well, it's fun. I mean, you need to do things. The garlic is because I love to cook. Okay, true story. So 25 years ago, Mary comes up and she says, okay, I cooked 25 years. I'm not cooking anymore. You got the next 25 years. And I hadn't got a clue how to cook, right? My mom is a great cook. My mom could take $25 and feed us for like a week. So she's awesome. So I learned some of hers. And then I found out I love cooking. I love to cook, which is nuts. And the toughest thing to get is garlic at certain times of the year. You can't get the best garlic. So at the Cherry Tree in Blenheim, Sean's my garlic, Miyagi. No, seriously. With YouTube and Sean, I actually have been able to grow enough garlic to live all year on this garlic. And if you're ever in Blenheim, go to the Cherry Tree, ask Sean about garlic. He's just passionate about it.
What's it, the Cherry Tree?
The Cherry Tree Cafe. You think you're at Michigan State University in East Lansing. It's a beautiful, and there's a new one opening up. Like, the thing about Blenheim, Jamie Richards is opening one up beside. He's got one in his gym there. We have other gyms there. We have a health center down the road. So there's a lot of cool things going on. But those are the kinds of things I talked about. What do you love about living here? Those are the little secrets, right?
Yeah.
People like that who are passionate about things. Beekeeping is just, we should have like a society of urban and rural beekeepers. It's fascinating to watch what they do.
Awesome. Elizabeth Mansu, how do you feel about the size of council? 17 members of council, one mayor?
Well, I wanted to cut them. I said, I actually wrote to Mr. Ford and said, could you cut us too? But he wouldn't do that. I don't think, in business and in any organization, it's tough enough to make a decision. And when you have 17 people, can you, I think we need many fewer, that's not good English, we need fewer councillors.
Okay. Would you change the ward distribution?
No, I would make it simple. I would just go proportionate, but cut it to maybe 8.
Okay. All right. Hey, Tim. Hey, Don. How you guys doing? Don's running in Ward 6 here in Chatham. Don's welcome.
Good luck, Don.
Let's see here. How can we, what about bike infrastructure? That's a topic that comes up often, about lines on the road.
See, I never understood lines on the road, because if you don't create a lane and you create a line on the road, I think it costs us 50 grand to paint the lines. I still treat you like a car. Like, I always treat bikes like a car.
Right.
So I don't like skid beside them if the guy's tight. You have to treat them like a car. So unless you add pavement, it makes no sense. Now, I've talked to police about this. I wonder why there isn't something about using sidewalks. Like, if you yield to pedestrians and you're not going over a speed limit, like the people that die, this is in our city, in London, Ontario every year, trying to drive a bike, it's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the barriers are to having some kind of, when you read the job descriptions I'm going to post for the municipality, we have like a tobacco enforcement officer.
Yes.
If we needed a bike speed enforcement dude or something, to keep track of speed and that save lives,
right?
And people could ride their bikes safely where there's a sidewalk and yield. So if someone's coming walking, you'd have to get off and walk around them. Or,
yep.
I don't know. Maybe it's just common sense, but there's an infrastructure there called a sidewalk.
Right.
We can't afford, I think, to build this, because remember the months of the year, we have, 4 months, 5 months?
Yep.
I don't know how we would do that financially.
Awesome. Okay, I really enjoy your show. This is from Carol Lane McCoo. I really enjoy your show. My mom, Argus Shreve Lane, was honored by CK Rotary Club. Since then, she would like to settle in the area, but maybe on cousin Chris Prince's land. She remembers, wow, this is a big one. When folks moved houses, my daughter 47 years and me 60s would be moving with her. I think we should just purchase a home in Chatham or surrounding area, because I don't know if anything is available in North Buxton. So I guess,
Well, that goes to what I talked about, building for consumers.
Right.
There should be an opportunity. If someone wants to live in North Buxton,
yep.
Someone should be able to go to a farmer or something and say, would you sell me an acre of land so that I can build a house to settle in North Buxton? There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why people say, well, agricultural land. Well, we didn't seem to worry about it too much when they built windmills. All of a sudden we took agricultural land to build windmills because financially it made sense. If someone wants to come and live in Buxton on 1 acre of land on a farm, and that farmer wants to sell it to them, they should be able to do that. It shouldn't take 5 years and 20 permits and 10 grand to do it. You should be able to do it. And you could even say, if you're going to cut an acre off a farm, you must plant half of it in trees. And if you tear down a tree, plant 10 more. I planted 300 trees this year. I don't know why, I always plant trees. You can always plant trees, right? But why are we not letting people enjoy their land? If someone wants to live in Buxton, they should be able to live in Buxton, or
Awesome.
Blenheim, or Ridgetown, or Chatham.
All right. What is your take on housing issues in Chatham, Kent? That's from Tiffany Lilleman.
Well, Tiffany, I think there's a lack of access to housing. For example, I talked to someone the other day who wanted to move here. They're senior. They wanted to rent a nice apartment, like quite a nice apartment, and they couldn't find one. Other people I've talked to wanted to put up, I've talked tiny homes, but they want to live in a 900 square foot house or an 800 square foot
Yep.
house, or even a converted garage. And as you know, the ministry in the government has made it legal across the provinces, trying to get municipalities to allow duplexes in all communities because of the housing issues in
Right.
Toronto. I'm not sure, I'd have to be educated. I don't believe we've taken the lead on that, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
We need to have more opportunities. And think about, in Calgary, they have a tiny house community for veterans.
Yep.
And they have an ability for those folks all to live together, get support services, all be able to live with dignity in a home. And I think for our poor in Chatham-Kent who don't have access to housing, we need to look at those kind of options. You know, how can they get ownership of that land? Even someone who may be on a disability, can they get a house and own it? What are the ways we can help them with that? The other thing that's happening, I'm not sure if you're aware, is with solar. The solar prices dropped dramatically to the point where if you have, let's say you spend $2,500 a year on your hydro bill, you put solar up, it'll only cost you about $15,000.
Right.
You're going to make a return on that for the rest of your life. If the municipality would back that and say on your taxes, just as a farmer with a drain, you can put solar on your roof to basically not pay hydro ever
Right.
again. You could then take the money you would be paying for your hydro bill, pay off your solar panels, and within 5 to 10 years you wouldn't have to pay for that anymore. But think of the technology that would happen. People would have to find ways to do that. There would be an industry created. And people would be getting about a 14% return on their investment. And the municipality will do it for other things. We have money to do that. That's a loan. That's not a gift. You have to pay it back
Right.
over time. But we can help all homeowners doing that, which would be awesome. Think of the jobs that would create.
Awesome. Hey guys, if you're watching, hit that share button, ask questions, share your comments and opinions. This has been pretty fun. We've had a little bit of a battle here. It's great. All right. Timothy, can Chatham-Kent and the Ministry of Natural Resources sit down to get a working relationship going again? This term of Chatham-Kent Ministry are not willing to talk to each other, and it affects probably everything.
So that's a great point, because what I did is I spent a lot of time initially looking at the Supreme Court decisions that most of us don't talk about. The Supreme Court has determined that a municipality can create any service or product that its citizens require. And that means that if they wanted to, the Chatham-Kent Council could do a lot of things they're not doing, because we seem to be afraid of Toronto or Ottawa. We have 6 lawyers on retainer. So what I would do is I'd sit down with the Ministry of Natural Resources and I'd say, look, I love frogs, I'm a fisherman, I love frogs, I love trees, I love all that stuff. But we have a beach that is touted as the beach in Chatham-Kent. Everybody talks about it, Erie. We have weeds now growing up there that have these really horrible burry spikes in them. I was in there the other day and they really hurt, right? If you have children, it would be a problem.
Right.
If you're an adult like me, it could be a problem too. But we have that problem, and we have a beach that needs to be cleaned, or we have this that needs to be done, or we're holding this up. Like, let's go in, let's send in university students from the biology department, let's collect the frogs, let's do a frog transfer over to this home where they'll be happy, and let's fix this bridge. Because in my opinion, we have to work with them, or we say to them, we're going to do this. We're going to go in and get as many frogs as we can, but we're going to do this because we need this for our citizens. And that's my legal team down there. You guys have fun, and let's get on with it. Because we have to get on with helping the people. You cannot continue to do this. I mean, I think of the park in BC where they were concerned that too many animals were being hit by cars. So they created these, you probably have seen them in the park, these basically overpasses for the animals to run through so they don't have to go through the park. Well, it killed all the animals because here's what happened. The coyotes and wolves were very smart. They said, why do we chase these guys? Let's just wait when they come through the nice little man-made created funnel, and we'll eat them when they come through because they don't have to chase them anymore.
Right.
So when man tries to interfere with what animals are, we usually get into trouble. So for this example, natural resources, we need to sit and talk, but it's our municipality, it's the people that need things, and we're going to listen to the people.
Awesome. I think that might answer your question there pretty good, Tim. Don Fuoco, it was nice chatting with you this morning. Dr. Savek.
Henry, cut the dog.
Pat Burrows Belanger is always doing something. He's watching while cooking today.
Oh, what's he cooking?
What are you cooking, Pat? How do you feel about building a multi-use arena? We've already kind of covered that one, Pat.
Do we do it again or no?
You can just go back in there. We have conflicting thoughts on that one, Pat, and you know how I feel. So let's see here. What else do we got? What else do you guys want to hear? We're gonna have to have you back because this has been quite entertaining. It's been pretty good. Transit. That's another one that comes up.
That's a great question because I hear that a lot, and they're doing this in London because I used to spend time in London. I had an office there, but
rice pudding.
Oh, rice pudding. Send a recipe. I have trouble. My wife has celiac. It's tough making rice pudding. She has a couple good ones, but I love the rice pudding. You put fruit in there, like some blueberries down there from Pardo. Anyway, we're not thinking about what's coming, which is driverless cars and a number of other solutions that might help us with this. I was at a conference on aging, and they have robots now. They're testing them out in DC. They're from Toronto, but they're creating these robots that do specific tasks for seniors. Mm-hmm. So you have one that'll brush your teeth, one that'll pick you up, one that'll talk to you, one that'll put you in bed. And every home in this model home has 5 robots to take care of the senior. With that is going to be driverless vehicles and other ways. So I think we provide World War II. I don't know what that would look like. I really don't. I don't know how we would do that other than what we have now that comes from Chatham and takes people around. I know there's people that come to the beach, which is a great idea, the beach bus. I honestly don't know that much about it. I don't know how we're going to do it because of our geographical issues, how far apart we are.
Right.
I mean, if you're concentrated, you can do a lot of things. It doesn't sound like the provincial government's interested in helping. They're not going to probably help places like London, let alone our area. So we have to come up with our own solutions. I'm just not sure what they would be.
Awesome. How would you work better with the provincial and federal levels of government? For example, if the whole community wanted that sportsplex, we can't afford it. We know we can't afford it.
It's all our money, though.
It is all our money, but that money could be going to other communities. How do we get it in our pockets? How would you work better with?
You're using the ice arena as
well,
an
you
example.
can pull out any example you want. How could you
I have always like when this game is over, as you want to say, like football or hockey. I've always worked with people on a team and be able to work with them to create a solution that we need. Mm-hmm. And before the election, I talked to our member of provincial parliament. When I was on the concussion, I did some concussion work. I have a sports concussion clinic that I do, which is voluntary to help study concussions. I spent time in Toronto with Rowan's Law. So Lisa McLeod led that. She's now a minister there. I spent time there. And so you reach out to people. You just call them and you say, let's talk about this. I think you have to be active. I think you can't be politically biased about it. Now, some people don't like it because they're conservatives or liberals or NDP, whatever. You have to reach out and say, this is the needs of our community. But they want to see fiscal responsibility. I can tell you, if we go to Mr. Ford and we say we need money, and we're spending $300 million, and we're not telling people how, and we're not fiscally responsible, they're not going to give us anything. And secondly, what if they start cutting us 10%?
Yeah.
What if all of a sudden we have to find $15 million because they cut us 10% or whatever it is? We can't keep adding user fees. We have to cut taxes. So I think we have to get our house in order, and we have to finally talk about it's all our money. People said that about the capital. Well, a third's feds, a third, whatever. It's all your money. And so you have to start living that, because otherwise you're going to get in trouble, because what we said was we're going to split it up. It's not a big deal. And now we're paying every year $500,000 to $600,000. I don't know about you, but that's a lot of money. If we put $500,000 or $600,000 into a community instead of spending it over here or giving tax breaks to people, how about we do that? How about we do it?
That's a phone call that just comes in.
By the way, you didn't play Twisted Sister. I'm disappointed. We're not supposed to play that anymore. We're all conciliatory.
Hey guys, get your last questions in here. We're going to wrap this up probably in a couple minutes here. So get your last questions in. If you want to ask questions, share your opinions. We're definitely going to be doing this again because this was fun.
Well, can I ask you about the Integris idea that some people think is crazy?
Can you ask me? I want to hear about it.
Okay, so what I want to do, and this is, Integris is an amazing company.
Right.
And we all own 72%. Now they would say that's not true. The corporation owns 72%.
Right.
In fact, I believe we own it. So what I want to be able to do is to find, and we have to work with the provincial government on this. I want to give Integris back to every taxpayer of Chatham Kent. So you would get shares as a credit union share that would pay a dividend. You would go to annual meetings and you would vote.
Right.
And it would give you an opportunity to add maybe $2,000 to $3,000 to your RSP or whatever, but it would have some value. And you would own part of that electrical distribution company because it came from Blenheim Hydro, it came from all those hydro companies upon amalgamation. And here's why I think we need to do it. If we don't, we're sitting on an asset with a value of anywhere from 100 to 120 million, okay? No disrespect, but if we don't give it back to the people, creative politicians are gonna find a way to find another railroad or another project that seems really cool, and it's not going to go back to the people. Secondly, we have a $24 million bond that is payable back to the people.
Right.
That could immediately reduce their property taxes by 5 to 8% for the next 3 years till we figure it out. And then it should be that low anyway because we're going to do our job and we're going to find ways to improve our lives, empower our employees, but not spend the money we're spending. So that's why I want it. Now, it's not popular. People say, oh, it'll never happen. It's just like sports. How many times they tell us it's never? It's going to happen if we want it to. And if council may vote against it and say, well, then I'll have to go to Toronto. I'll have to find another way. And by the way, a lot of the things I've proposed, we can do just by being in council. We don't even need a vote to do it. There's a lot of work you do about calling and finding, and there's a lot of work within the realm of what we can do to do this.
Awesome.
But that's what I think we need to do. And that brings hope to people. If everybody owning a house opened up a thing and it said you now own a share of Integris, it's this value, you have a meeting in 2 months to vote on the board, to vote on this. I mean, they own St. Thomas Hydro, Middlesex Hydro, they're working on internet solutions. We should talk about internet.
Let's talk about internet.
So,
if you got time, these people are still watching.
Okay, so I talked to an incredible group from Thamesville today, 2 farmers who started an internet company. They're called, I think it's MPV, does that make sense?
MPV?
Wi-Fi, they're from Thamesville. And they focus on putting technology on farmers' grain bins so that an area up to 10 miles can have high-speed internet up to 100 megabytes up and download.
That's pretty good.
Some even higher if you want to pay the business amount.
Right.
And they're moving, they started in Thamesville, now they're on the New Scotland line where we don't have a culvert, but we have high-speed internet. And they're moving towards Erio, and they're a local solution in Thamesville, and they only do rural. Now, I haven't tested it. I just met them today because he touched base on Facebook, and I talked to this man. I think it's Greg. Amazing idea. Local technology. So my question is, we've put $6 million into TechSavvy. We had another administrator go out in the paper and talk about how great it was Bell Canada was doing something. When we have a Thamesville local guy, because by the way, all those projects aren't going to get to the country. They're going to get to the towns because you can't lay, fiber optics down a dirt road that has 2 houses. They're not going to do that.
Right.
So this solution from Thamesville would be absolutely amazing. So that's another thing I just learned about today for high-speed internet, which fits with everything we've talked about in getting our communities up and running. And it's a local solution. He told me a solution where he just installed one for a farmer who can keep track of his chicken barn from his house because he has enough bandwidth he didn't have before to be able. Now, he has another company that was able to bring in 10 people to work in Thamesville because they have high speed and they all set up shop in Thamesville.
Right.
That's the kind of thing we talk about bringing young people back.
Awesome. This has been pretty fun.
It's Thamesville, man.
It's Thamesville. That's where my broker's based, Thamesville.
I love Thamesville.
MC Homes Realty
Yeah.
there. You have done a ton of stuff. You do
fun.
bees, you write books and stuff. What's the coolest thing you've done, you think? Your favorite?
I don't consider it cool. I mean,
or greatest accomplishment, something like that.
Well, I think it's working on my relationship with my wife and my kids. I mean, my kids, I love my kids. They're just, you go through, as you all have, if you have children, you go through those years and you're going, man, this is just not, this is not working, right? And then when they get to a certain age, and they say, hey, Dad, how about some advice? I'm going, what?
Yeah.
You actually want to listen to me about something simple? And you know they won't take your advice necessarily, and that's okay. But my greatest joy is watching my kids take on the world. Like they're strong and they believe in what they, and we disagree politically. My son and we have these incredible discussions, and you just love to see the passion. Mm-hmm. So the children and my wife, she's amazing. I got really lucky, just lucky, totally luck.
And now you got your own cooking.
I love, but it was a gift because I love to cook. I think being given I really wanted, the privilege I think was switching careers to the point where I could help, I think I said this in the video, help 13,000 people get healthier. And you know, I come home when I'm in the clinics and I feel better, like I feel more jacked up than when I went, because it's like I feel guilty because I feel really good helping people. And I don't know what I need to see a shrink. That doesn't make sense, because I'm generally not tired. I'm generally, you know, feeling good about it. So that's the biggest gift, is being able to help other people.
And it looks like you're always on the move doing something
It's
neat.
the ADD, you know, I have ADD. No, it's true. Yeah. Diagnosed in my 40s.
In your 40s.
Yeah, I was at a, I'll tell you, you got a minute? I was at a conference.
We got time, so we're rolling here.
So when you're starting something, you seek out the experts of the world. So I sought out Lubar in Tennessee. I was in Tennessee when the power outage happened in Ontario, whenever that was.
Okay.
And when you're at these sort of training sessions, they want volunteers to scan your brain, right? I said, I'll do that, Dr. Lubar. So he hooks me all up and he shows my brain and he goes, whoa, we got a problem. So, okay. So then he told me, you know, it's ADD and so on. So then I didn't believe him. So then I went to Florida for Dr. Bob Thatcher, who's a world expert on neuroimaging. We use it for concussions down. And I did the same thing. I said, I'll volunteer. He took a look at my brain and he said, yeah, so I've got ADD. I thought it was maybe football, but it's not. It's ADD.
Really?
If you met my mom, you'd know she's got ADD. She's 93. That's crazy. Whoa, all over the place. But she's loving life too.
John Kelly Burr, you certainly did get lucky, Henry. Mary is your treasure.
Absolutely, and you know I got lucky, and I married up. He's talking about sports. I asked Mary out because all the guys told me I should, and the trainer, Gary Lipinski, was a trainer at Weston. He says, Hank, you got it. I said, she'll never go, and you're right, I got lucky.
Awesome. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap this up. This has been very fun, and it's been a great opportunity to actually get to know, is it Henry Svek or Dr.?
No, it's Henry or Hank.
Hank, but it's, do people
Henry
say
or Hank.
Doctor?
Not in this world.
Not in this world?
I'm not working at anything but this.
Okay, so he's going to be back, and we're going to have this session again.
I'll bring you garlic.
Bring me some garlic. Well, you're going to be cooking. Probably some food.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to take back some of the questions?
But I'm not real, like, how do I do that? Will you tell me later?
I will tell you later, but I'll tell him how to comment back to you guys, especially if people are watching on the replay. You'll be able to still ask questions. Henry will get that as well. Hit that share button, guys. This has been a really fun conversation that we've had. I don't call them interviews. I call them conversations. And so
you do a great job, by the way. You really are a great interviewer.
Well, you've given me a tough time.
No. Really? You play football. That's not tough. What are you talking about?
Awesome stuff. So thanks, Henry, for being on here.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate every time somebody logs on here to watch or share or hit that like button or comment or just say hi. So thank you very much, and we will see you guys later.
See ya.